Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. Hope you guys can subscribe. If you guys do that, that would mean a lot to me. Also, Tobin and Leroy Show, weekdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on the 560 WQAM channel. Check us out over there. We got into a heated debate today on the show. And we're kicking some stuff against the wall. I'm not going to lie, dude. It's the middle of June. We got the Panthers who are playing, but this is some silly time here. We're like, we don't have actual stuff happening in the NBA. The season just ended. You know, the rat bastards are around here in our city with their stupid trophy. So we're kicking some ideas around the wall. And I got one that got a lot of reaction, if you will, today. And it was just kicking the tires. Because here's where I'm at. All right, here's where I'm at. Before I give you the idea, although I'm sure if you're picking on the title, I'm sure you know what it is. Here's where I'm at, right? I declared myself a changed man last year after the Damian Lillard summer. I said, I'm just going to enjoy my team. I don't want to do any more rumors, any whispers, any fodder. I'm done with it because I just didn't like where I was last year with Dame, and I thought that I could change my ways of not always being about the chase, because I love this time of year. I really, really do. I love fake trades. I love possibilities. I love disgruntled stars. I love this stuff, man. And part of me is curious as to what strategy the Heat are going to do this summer because I don't really know. I don't have insight as to where things go with Jimmy Butler and his contract. I don't really know if the Miami Heat are going to continue to try and extend the Jimmy Butler era. Are they going to go and pivot into the Bam Adebayo era? Is it still going to be some kind of blend, but it's going to be more tilted towards Bam, or is it going to be one more crack at a win now? I don't know. And I just thought with last year and losing out on the Lillard thing, it was such a blow because it just seemed such like a glove. Perfect match, right? Didn't work out. Year sucked. Tyler hurt. Terry hurt. Duncan hurt. Jimmy hurt. So unanswered questions, but just because the class was incomplete doesn't mean that we don't have to take it, that we don't have to either change majors or take another class or whatever. We need to go and figure some real solutions out and not just hope that, development is going to be the key. Now, I'm not going to lie. This could be tough because I like the young players on the Heat. I love Jaime Jaquez Jr. I love the fact that, he is potentially going to get this showcase in a Mexico City game. Looks like he's enjoying his summer over in Italy, doing some fashion stuff. The goatee is growing back strong, which don't shave that again, Jaime. That's your thing, dude. And Nikola Jovic scaring us to death. I felt the idea that I saw him in a boot. I'm just like, Nico, come on, buddy. You gotta be okay. And even with Tyler, there's I think one of the unfortunate things about this season is it ended with disappointment because, Tyler kind of got skunked out by the Celtics, but it was the Celtics, and this was a broken Heat team, and a lot of the game plan was to go shut his ass down. And, he got half a season. Now, it doesn't help because there's been durability questions and playoff questions already coming into the year, and now he's going to turn 25 this season. So you're starting to, creep into prime crescendo, but I do think there's still untapped potential there, and you don't know and where things go with that. Thought Duncan Robinson was a huge loss for Miami. So I say all that to say I like the roster. I like a lot of the pieces on the roster, but it does need a unless Nico, Jaime, or Tyler is going to take a leap. They need an infusion, man. They need something. And this is going to have some polarizing feelings, I think, amongst the Heat fan. Although the early leans are they're for it. And that is, should the Miami Heat, if he's made available, get into the game for Trae Young. Now, I feel like everybody's initial reaction is, no way, Jose. No. And for me, I think if you asked me this in the middle of the season, hey, would you ever be interested in Trae Young being on the Heat? I would be like, no way, Jose. But his time with the Hawks feels like it could be coming up. They may be pivoting towards a DeJounte Murray team. They may be going with this number one pick, maybe just getting out of mediocrityville. I don't think they want to be the Chicago Bulls. I don't think they want to triple down and say, let's keep this. I think they've had their peak season with Trae, and Trae had a tremendous year getting them to the Eastern Conference Finals. He's been a multiple-time All-Star. The guy is, just an absolute shark when it comes to the way that he can score. He is really, really talented. Really, really talented. And so if he doesn't end up, so that talent's going to go somewhere, right? And I think the Heat fan who's against this is going to say, too small, can't defend, never done really anything. And the way I would look at it is if you were to add him into the mix with Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, with whatever pieces are left of that, I'm not giving up the farm for him. I'm not giving up, both young studs, Tyler Hero picks. I'm not giving up that because I feel like you're taking on a ton of money. It's a guy who I think does come with some question marks. So I'm not implying that the Heat go all the way in for Trae Young. But if they don't have the ability to go for Donovan Mitchell, because let's say Donovan Mitchell signs his extension with the Cleveland Cavaliers and Damian Lillard doesn't want to play the bad guy and is going to do this run it back thing with the Milwaukee Bucks, and Lauri Markkanen doesn't become available, I don't think Paul George is the thing. Some people are like, hey, Klay Thompson, I got a guy in the comments who is like, hey, Dave, blah, 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 without Tobin discussing the real free agents who are actually out there. And while I don't appreciate your snarkiness, I do appreciate you tuning in. And my point is why I'm not really into that is I just don't think it's realistic. First of all, the Heat don't have cap space. And second of all, Paul George, I don't really get the Paul George thing with the Heat because Paul George is the same age as Jimmy Butler, basically. And, has had his own durability questions. He's not as good a playoff player as Jimmy Butler is. And so I feel like if the Heat are going to take a major hack and lose Jimmy Butler, I feel like the guy that they have to bring in, first of all, I think it's a big key that he's younger and feels like he's going to grow with Bam Adebayo. And secondly, I feel like has to be a real upgrade over Jimmy, and I don't look at Paul George and feel that way. That's just my opinion on it. And I've never been the biggest PG-13 guy. He's good. He's just not one of these dudes that I would be crazy about the Heat going after. So, and you get the news today in the NBA, Pascal Siakam signs his deal because you can start signing your own free agents. We do not get the news about Jimmy Butler. I'm not surprised about that. But I am curious, when these deals start rolling in, how many days, how many weeks go by before you do feel like, all right, the Heat are definitely not going in this direction. And then you have to wonder, okay, well, what is the place that we're going to? What direction are they going to go in? Trae Young makes some big money for the next few years, and I think that, there's going to be some questions about, hey, is that the direction the Hawks want to go in? But if you can't get your plan A, your plan B, are you going to really sit back here and be like, yeah, you know what? This is the year Tyler makes the leap, or Terry Rozier could be. This is look, that's fine. You can say those guys are Heat culture guys, and you don't think Trae Young is, but Trae Young, man, I mean, he's averaged 25.5 points per game his entire career, 25-7 last year, 26 points per game the year before that, 28 the year before that as a 23-year-old, 3-time All-Star. The guy can score, and he's also really good at getting assists, especially on lobs. And so, last year, he averaged nearly 11 assists a game. And I get it. Turnstile on defense, tiny. But this Heat team, man, they got to be able to score. And I just think if that opportunity presented itself, the Miami Heat have to have meetings about this and consider this. So I put this poll out. We talked about this. We got into a heated debate on the radio show today. And I put this poll out on Twitter, and it was just simply Trae Young, ? Yes, no. And, the replies have been pretty polarizing and back and forth. But the results have come back in the, 6 hours that this thing has been up. It's been up since 12:30. It's 6 o'clock now, right? And 56% as I record this, yes, they're intrigued by Trae Young. And I don't know if that is, I think if I had to divvy up that 56%, I'd say probably half of it is want something new, want to try something new, don't want to do an insanity plan, want to just, let's get somebody who is an elite scorer, will figure out the imperfections. The size thing, the defense thing. Look, Damian Lillard deals with a lot of that stuff too. And we were crazy about having Dame. Dame is not good defensively. Dame, probably has more iconic moments than Trae and has led a franchise longer than Trae. I'd say is more of a beloved player than Trae. Trae has had some rumblings about teammates not loving to play with him. I don't think Damian Lillard's ever had that. We know with the Heat run-ins that they, really got after him in a playoff series. But there's been some fun backs and forths between him and Jimmy Butler. We remember the old fortune teller game. And I just don't think it can be dismissed. I don't think Heat fans can be in a very dismissive mode with this stuff. I think you got to free your mind a little bit going into this offseason. I get it. I remember look, I will never forget the smile on Gabe Vincent's face when Trae Young was belly aching about the Heat being too physical, Bam making fun of him because he's like, oh, come on, dude. You're saying we're too physical. I was in foul trouble. PJ Tucker was in foul trouble. You're going to say, oh, we were too physical. Dude, I get it. But these are different times. This is not one seed Heat. This has got bounced in the first round Heat. And I was not the biggest Kyle Lowry fan in the world. I was not. Truly I was not. Didn't want the Heat to trade him for Goran Dragic, and that's exactly what ended up happening. Was not a fan of Kyle Lowry. Kyle, did some good things. I learned to like and appreciate the elements of his game. It had its moments, but it didn't live up to the full fruition, I think, of what everybody was hoping for, all parties were hoping for. But, I think the Heat fan could come to appreciate some things with old Ice Trae. We could sell, we could have custom little Heat Fireball ice trays at the game. We could make this work. We could make this work. I do not like dismissiveness. Just let's come on. Let's free our minds a little bit here, people. And Leroy was crushing me today. You guys can go back and check out the podcast about how against this he was. But I'm just not at that point right now. And especially as the options come off the board. If you told me would I want Donovan Mitchell, would I want Trae Young, I'd want Donovan Mitchell. If you told me even if Damian Lillard could come back over, would I want Damian Lillard, would I want Trae Young? Yeah, I think I'd even go Damian Lillard. But if I can't have either one of those guys and Trae Young becomes available and the Heat can get him and especially get him without giving everything up, hell yeah, I would consider that. I think that you'd be nuts not to consider that. There's got to be there has to be at least some kind of a major change coming into this year if you're going to go into this year and really truly feel like you got a shot to do things in the East, and Philly's going to make a major move. Boston's going to be back. I wouldn't be surprised if New York makes a major move. The Bucks just being healthier, but they always seem like they're tinkering and making things happen. You can't sit idly by and just hope that whatever pick you have at 15 is going to make things happen. So if this does become a thing, I think that he should definitely kick the tires on it. As the summer gets underway here and we get into whaling season.